G'day everyone, I'm Jazza, and I've had a lot of requests to see what I think of the brand new iPad animation software, Procreate Dreams, and I'm pretty curious as to how it shapes up myself. Now, before we start, a little bit of context. I am, old, that's how you say it. My very first days of animation were in MS PowerPoint. After that, I graduated to Macromedia Flash, which then became Adobe Flash, which then became Adobe Animate. I have a pretty extensive background in animation. It was my job for a good 5 or 6 years, and the biggest production I've ever done start to finish was The Tale Teller, an animation I made over the course of 10 months. Since then, every time I've gone into Adobe Animate to animate, I feel that the program is getting worse and worse.
Now what?
What? What is doing that?
Adobe!
I did everything right. It's the friggin' program. So this could be a chance for an exciting redemption of animation in my life. Disclaimer, I have never opened it, I have not used it, and this video is not sponsored by Procreate or Dreams. For the very first time, we open Procreate Dreams. Okay, so it comes with some files. This is very familiar to the Procreate layout of like coming with example projects. Let's check out The Breach. Whoa. Oh, love that. So cool. Oh, and there's a loop. That's very fun. This is a really cool showcase of what the program can do right up front. All right, here's our other showcases. This is Spark. Trippy. This I can see a lot of like tweening, which is good. That shows me there's like, you can achieve different styles. And last but not least, into the future. This looks like proper anime. We got scenes. Oh my God, I'm so excited now. You can make a TV show maybe. Love that subtle camera shake. Nice foreground, great like glowing layers. Wow. This is stunning. This is a brilliant demonstration. So first things first, let's start where every animator should start. A bouncing ball, you got it, that's right. First frame, the ball is flinging in from the side. How do I do a new frame? Plus? No. Do I tap? No. No. I want to be able to rock back and forward. What's that dot? No, don't want that. And now I want an onion skin. Okay. I should do the wise thing and see if there's some sort of tutorial. Now, in trying to learn what to do, I could only find the manual on the Procreate website. I was hoping for some like easy to find video tutorials from Procreate. I'm sure there's some somewhere, but it just really wasn't upfront easy to find. So I just quickly searched for something on YouTube and came across a video by Kramer Art, everything about Procreate Dreams in 9 minutes, which was a really good primer and showed me all the basics that I need to know. And as I expected, because this was my experience with Procreate, everything is hidden. The sneaky bastards. Like everything, like the onion skin options, the ability to rock between frames, which they call the flick book, is literally hidden behind the timeline. None of this is explained. There's no in-app tutorial that I can see. And there's so much of this stuff that really needs to be shown in video to show their hands making these gestures. Anyway, with a few of the basics up my sleeve, I worked on my bouncing ball. I got my bouncing ball. It looks pretty cool. It's got a little bit of spunk to it. Boing, 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 boing. Yeah, I definitely want to add sound effects, so we'll figure that out later. So I'm going to bring in a stick figure, and I think because this ball's got so much energy, of course, it's going to kill the stick figure. As an animator, you make a bouncing ball, you murder a stick figure. Where's a layer? How do I make a new layer? Layers? No, that's just the drawings layers. I want animation layers. No, that's not what I wanted! Stop! Oh my God. This is the frustrating thing. I know what I want in all of this. I just don't know how to get to what I want. There's a plus. Track. Track is layer, like in an editing program. Not layer, like in an animation or art program. Oh my God. All right, we've got a blue ball. Crap. Because the ball bounces across here, I'm thinking if the man somehow ends up here, can I drag this? There's like 1 pixel I'm trying to grab to drag this out. Oh my God! It did it before! Oh my God, you have to be slightly zoomed in. It'll sort of bounce up and then get slapped from behind. Yeah, I think that sort of works. Clearly it needs sound effects. We'll get to that. And so I took a deep breath, tried to push my biases and frustrations aside and animate a cute little green stick man being murdered by an inanimate object. Well, an animate object, I guess by definition, because it's animated, but it's a ball, so it doesn't have a personality. Unless this one's a murderous ball. So I forgot what I was talking about. The beginning process of animating my stick man was a little tedious. It was a little bit annoying that I have to sort of pull out of the flipbook mode to watch it in real time, because especially with motion heavy animation, you kind of want to reference the real animation in real time fairly regularly. But putting that aside, I have to admit it was a pretty organic process once the ball got rolling. Heh, ball, get it? The next trap I fell into wasn't the program's fault, it's just a trap I always fall into when animating stick figures, and that is the size of the stick figure always changes. Now to fix this, you can't edit multiple frames all at once. Even though you can grab a whole group of frames, you can't resize them together. So to get around this, I had to group them all into a group and then resize the group. But I decided to continue my animation. I felt like this character would be pretty frustrated about that ball coming out of nowhere. I animated him crossly putting his hands on his hips as if to say, "Oi, what are you bloody doing?" And then of course, I can't help myself but have the ball retaliate randomly and throw itself into his face. But we are not done yet. No, I've just started to really feel like I'm getting into the flow, and you know the next step is blood.
I'm gonna dash and crash you, bash and smash you. Launch through the air with a rubbery stream to the edge of the screen where you think you'll hide.
And side note, if you're learning animation, stick figures and blood are a great learning tool. You learn proportions, foreshortening, and with the blood, you get a bit of a primer on physics. Next, it's on to sound effects, and this is where I really wish the interface for doing this was much better. I have a collection of like random Foley and fighting sounds, but I couldn't preview them before I brought them onto the timeline. So I was just guessing based on the names and lucking into a few that worked pretty well, but it would have been really nice to be able to preview some of this audio before I brought it into the project. All right, it is time for a viewing. We're going to watch my first ever Procreate Dreams animation from the start. Let's enjoy this together. You ready? Hey! I love that. Oh my God, I feel like a 12-year-old again. There's just something so satisfying about beating the crap out of a stick figure. He doesn't deserve it, but he's gonna get it. Okay, there's pros and cons to this. As an animation tool, it's really smooth and everything seems to be there. So this has been a really good dabble. I want to dive and do something a little more substantial, but before I do, I'm gonna soak in a little bit more of the high-end animation guides and tutorials. And I'm hoping I'll have a little bit more of a depth of understanding to do something a little chunkier. Now, I started with this video of Aaron Blaze showing us how he animates this ogre stepping over a photo of City Hall. And that was pretty cool, but actually the most helpful part for me were the parts in the video where he sort of showed the way the timeline and structure of the animated short he did of the penguin was sort of done in Procreate Dreams, sort of breaking down the illusion as to how something really high production quality is actually not as complex as it looks on the surface.
That's the sky color. There's the clouds. I can turn the drawing layer on and off. Down here we have the paint layer. So everything's super controllable.
Next, I watched this video by Michael Ralph Art called Learn the Basics of Procreate Dreams. Now, both Aaron and Michael have been artists that were commissioned to make something really substantial to show what you can produce with it. These are stunning animations and obviously by very experienced and talented animators. So to show them sort of flex and stretch what this program can do really does make your imagination open up to what you could achieve. The other thing that I didn't know you could do, which he showed in Michael's video, is you can import your custom brushes. You just can't do it in the Dream interface. You do it by creating the split screen between Dreams and Procreate and dragging your brushes across, which is awesome because I've imported all of my custom brushes into Procreate and now I can bring them into Dream and animate them, which I'm very excited about. If you haven't checked out my brushes, go check them out. They're available on the JAZZA'Sstudios.com shop. They're really high quality. I use them all the time. On that note, if you want to learn about animation, I have an entire animation course, the Animation Foundation, which is program agnostic. And so you can, using all of the principles I teach in my Animation Foundation, learn how to animate both simple and complex animations through my Animation Foundation. Go check those out on the JAZZA'Sstudios.com shop. But with my Procreate brushes now imported into Dreams, I'm feeling a little more ready to do something a lot more substantial. I want to carry on the theme of our bouncing ball, but this time I'm going to let my green man get revenge on the ball. But he's not going to be a green stick figure, he's going to be a man wearing green hitting the ball with a stick. The first step is to really loosely block in the motion of him hitting the ball with a stick sort of arcing up from one side to the other in a way that can be repeated. It's really rough looking, it's mainly just to sort of block the geometry and foreshortening just to make sure that he feels like a physical character who's moving in 3D space. Then it's on to doing some light work. I was going to do something more refined, but honestly, access to these brushes means I can keep it pretty sketchy and lean into that really charming, sketchy vibe, which honestly, it feels so great to animate in this style and with these brushes. It just really loosens me up, honestly. Now this is the most repetitive part of the animation. I'm going over my construction lines, creating a more physically blocked out character, and once I've done that for all of my roughed blocked in areas, I add more in-betweens to fill in more of the motion and just sort of balance it out to get good timing throughout. The next step is to add color. So I just add an extra layer underneath, switch to my gouache brush and paint in the frames for the green hoodie. Now I think this is a good point to share a few thoughts about Procreate Dream. I have to say, while my initial impression was very jarring and confused, I think that's going to be everyone's initial impression. But once I got used to the portion of the interface relevant to the current activity and just sort of got a basic gist for how it generally works, I started to sink into much more of a flow and it became really satisfying. There are little things I could certainly nitpick, but the Procreate team had a massive challenge in making an animation program that is maximally powerful and can produce really high quality professional stuff with really minimal interface and interactivity options. No keyboard, just an Apple Pencil and swipe and finger gestures. And with that considered, honestly, I think they did an astounding job. So I have an animation loop I think is pretty cool. Like, given that this is my first time using this program, I've got a solid frame by frame thing happening here. So it's time to see if we can make it a little more impressive. I'm gonna start off by drawing my chained up ball in the foreground. Let's try painting it in with a clipping mask. Where is it? Mask? Clipping mask. Look at that. That's pretty intuitive. I like that. Great, okay, cool. And I'm gonna grab my chain brush and he's chained. I'm gonna be a little schmancy, grab a lighter gray, draw a chain directly on top so it's got shadows. Look at that, too easy. So far, so good. I'm gonna grab these 3 layers, I'm gonna group them and they are all one image now. And the next bit is the bit I haven't seen anywhere before, the performance mode. I press this button and in theory, I can move it around while the animation is playing. and it records the motion. So I'm gonna undo that. As he hits, I wanna go boom, boom. My timing's gotta be better though. That's pretty good. That's a bunch of, I've got a little bounce in there and everything. The only thing I don't like is right here, you can sort of see the white, but it's just made keyframes. So in theory, I can just grab that keyframe, move it across, and now the motion won't go past where I want it to. Look at that, that's really good. Okay, this is fun. This is fun, you guys. So we're gonna move on to like shading and stuff. I'm gonna duplicate my sweater layer, add a mask, add a clipping mask. I want it to feel like looming, so we're gonna have him backlit, and we're just gonna go through all these. Oh man, I just did a clipping mask on the one frame. Can I do it for all of them? It's almost cool. Don't tell me I have to do this for all of them. I think I have to do it for all of them. Now this is, I think, the weak point of Dreams, and that is the more finicky stuff where you're sort of editing multiple layers at a time and really fine-tuning how those things coincide and everything. I imagine it would get far more finicky and be way more convenient to just use computer animation software. With that said, it's really not a huge trade-off for the depth of experience you get with such a minimal interface animation program. Now, while it is a trade-off that I had to manually add clipping masks to all of the individual frames, there's probably a way to do it without doing that. I just don't know how. That was the fastest I've ever applied a shading layer to an animation, because it's not finicky at all. It's really organic because it's just nice brushes you can be much more loose with. And that already looks like so cool, like just a huge improvement. There's two more things I want to do to add that final bit of punch. Starting off with adding a background color, which is an option in here. I think we should go like red. Now I can add a layer with a nice watercolor. So now on every hit, I want to go at a big intense whack of red. There we go, that gives us a nice kick of impact. Let's do the same over here. Pow! All right, that's pretty good. This is one of those things where everything I had, I want to add something more. All right, new track. We're gonna add our sound effects. Again, I'm sort of guessing as to what will be the right ones. Let's try punch, grit, wet, impact. Okay, that sounds promising. Okay. All right, that's pretty good. So next I want to take all of this, I'm gonna group it. There you go, it's all in one place now. And I wanna have a go at performing motion for the whole thing. Okay, then now we'll do one with rotation. All right, that's not bad. That's not bad. Got just a little bit of camera motion. Nothing too crazy. I think the cool thing is though, you can like go in and edit the groups. So if I wanted to add something fancy in the background, like I could just open up the group, grab my trusty cloud brush and make a nice fog in the foreground, give it a tween. So we're gonna go from here, and at the end of the animation, it'll be over here. And just like that, I've added a fog that just rolls across in line with, like I don't have to touch anything, all the animation applies because it's inside my group. So there you have it. I have created things today, specifically a bouncing ball, a stick figure, and a figure with a stick hitting a ball for bouncing into him. All with the hopes to get a hang of Procreate Dream and decide if I like it. And the answer is yes, ? It's actually a stunning piece of software. It runs really smoothly. You can get really cool outcomes. There's obviously just amazing stuff people have made in it. The asterisk is, on the left here, you've got easy, on the right, you've got professional. Traditional animation programs are not easy, but they can achieve really professional results. Something like Toon Boom Harmony, which is used in the industry. Much harder to pick up, but much better in the long term for professional results. Procreate, in my mind, is a little more like this. Frankly, a little less intuitive up front. Once you pick it up, it's way more organic and easy to use off the bat. The smaller projects, it's a dream. It's really good. But there is a threshold at which you will hit a limit and you'll get diminishing returns for the effort you put in. So the verdict is, I love it. And if you want to learn animation, look at this. Look at this whole leap into animation that you can get with really good quality. Just know that it's not the end game, but it's a brilliant way to get into it. I had a lot of fun. And as you can see, the results are spectacular.